uh, where I was. Uh, this max length is acting like your n variable in your C program. Usually we write a for loop like this now. I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Same thing we are doing here, yeah, everything. Okay. So here I is nothing but here x and n is nothing but max length, and max length's value is 4096. Clear? So if this x value is 1 now, okay, because it just now it is incremented now from 0 to 1, and 1 is less than max length, that is 1 is less than 4096. Since it is a true, since it is a true, jump to R loop. R loop is where it is here only. It means you go to the second iteration of your loop. Okay, you go to the second iteration of your loop. That second iteration will be executed by using this JLT, that is jump to R loop if it is less than, of course the condition is true, so it will go back and it will start the loop once again. Again it will test the device. If it is equal, CC value is equal, it is not ready. And once it is less than, CC value is less than, then device is ready, then you execute RD. Okay, again like this, one by one all the characters will be read by input device, and all those 4096 characters will be stored in a buffer. Clear? Okay. Shall I go to next now? Now once this condition becomes false, which one? TIX max length. Okay. Once x value is also 4096 and max value is also 4096, 4096 is less than 4096, which is false. At that time, it will not execute this JLT instruction. It means it will not go back to R loop, and directly it will come to STX. STX. STX instruction is what? Store the data from register to memory. Correct? STX. Which register? X register. In X register, what is the value now? Right now, X was keep on incrementing up to 4096. So X value is right now it is 4096. So this 4096 will be stored into one variable, that is length variable. Clear? So length, sir, where you define this length variable? See, I have defined this variable length here. Length, how much amount of memory is reserved for it? Reserved. It means in how much numbers you write here, that many number of words will be reserved for this length. So you have written 1 here, it means that only one word is reserved for variable length, and in this length, which value you are storing now? You are storing the value 4096. Okay, you are not writing that 4096 value here only. Okay, you are just reserving one word of memory for length. Now you are loading or storing some value inside this length variable, that is 4096. Now the value of x is 4096, length is also 4096. Okay, now next instruction is R sub. What it is? Return from subroutine. Return from subroutine means RD record, that is read record, is a subroutine. I have to return from this subroutine. Where I have to return? Who was calling you? You have to go back to that one, calling function. That is main function here. So it means after executing this return from subroutine, you will go back to the next instruction, which is followed by JSub instruction in your main program, main subroutine. Okay, so that instruction is a LDA. Because of this returning only, the linkage register has stored the address 1000. Okay, so now it is coming to LDA. So after 1000 address, whatever the instruction is there, after JSub, whatever the instruction is there, to that instruction control will be jumped. Then that next instruction is LDA. What is LDA? The LDA is going to load the value of length into the register A. What is the value of length now? 4096. Correct? That 4096 value is stored in the register A, and that 4096 will be compared with 0. Okay? Compare COMP. What it does, COMP, how it operates, how it works. If you want to understand clearly, you go back to appendix A and you just observe COMP instruction. There you will clearly you will get COMP will compare the content of the register A with the memory. Okay. So content of register A is 4096 now because length value is loaded into the register A just now. So 4096 is compared with 0. 4096 is not equal to 0, correct? And 4096 is greater than 0 actually. So next statement is JEQ. So in fact 4096 is not equal to 0. So I skip this JEQ statement. I come to J sub. Okay, it means that if it is going to check whether you have written all the characters from that buffer to output device and you have reached end of that record or end of file. That end of file itself is indicated as a 00. That 00 is nothing but it is indicating the end of file. 0 is here now variable. 0 I have defined here already. I have shown you in 0 variable I am storing this integer value 0. So 4096 will be compared with this 0. Why 0? 0 indicates end of my record, end of my file, end of my paragraph. There are no more characters to take from a buffer and write them into output device. So still I have not written a single character on my output device, remember. So because of that only my content of register A is 4096. Okay. Now one by one all the characters I will keep on writing, so that buffer size will be also 4096, 4095, 94, 94, 93, 92, like this. One by one the number of bytes or characters will be written from buffer to output device. Now next loop. Okay. So here I come to jump subroutine instruction once again, but here this time which subroutine I am going to jump? I am going to jump to write record. Immediately I should jump to write record here. Okay, write record is here. Write record subroutine. In this subroutine LDX, once again I reinitialize this x value to 0 so that I can perform a looping here also for writing purpose, and that loop name is a write loop, that is W loop. I have written here TD, test the output device this time. Okay, output device, if it is busy it will show us CC value as equal mark. So JEQ W loop, again go back and test the device continuously until and unless that output device becomes free. Once that output device becomes free, condition code CC value becomes less than. Once it is less than, you skip this JEQ. Okay, because if it is EQ equal, then only will execute this JEQ, otherwise you will leave it. Okay, then CC value is less than now, so you will leave it and you will come to next instruction LDCH. What this LDCH does? This LDCH loads the content of register A into the buffer, particularly in which value, in which index? The index 0, because just now I initialized the x value to 0. In the buffer it is going to load. What it is going to do? It is going to take the character from the buffer. Which character from the buffer? The character which is stored in the index 0. Okay, the character which was stored in the index 0 in buffer, it will take and it will load it to the register A, LDCH. Okay, and from LDCH in register A there is one character now. The content of register A is one character. Okay, now WD. WD, what it does? WD writes the content of register A to the output device. It means data moves from register A to output device. Clear? So one character is written to output device now. Next, I should increment the value of x and I compare that value of x with the length value. So x plus plus. X plus plus means now x becomes 1. 1 is less than 4096 because length value was 4096. Of course, condition is true. So again, I jump to W loop, jump less than W loop. I go back and again I test the output device, and again I write one more character on output device by taking that character from the buffer. This time, which character I take from the buffer? Because of X value 1, I take the value, I take the character from the buffer which is stored in the register, which is stored in the index 1. Okay, so that character will be also taken from the buffer and it will be written on the output device. Next, I increment the value of X, that is, it becomes 2, and 2 is also less than 4096, and again I take the character from buffer from the index 2, and I write that character also onto the output device. Like this, 4096 iterations will be executed like this only continuously. So to take the data from buffer and to write that data onto the output device. Once X value becomes 4096, 4096 is less than 4096, condition becomes false, then I execute return from subroutine instruction. Return from subroutine instruction will take your control back to the instructions which is followed by the JSUB instruction. Okay, JSUB write record already you have executed, it will go back to here. Okay, so next what I am going to do is JC loop. JC loop, it means C loop is here. Copy the loop. Okay, so which is already done. Which is already done means if is there any other characters are remaining or what? Because the buffer size is 4096, so only 4096 characters are written. If after writing all 4096 characters, if buffer is keep on becoming one slot as a free 4096, 4095, 4094, right? So similarly, the programmer may be continuously typing the characters from the input device to buffer, right? So to check that also, we will once again execute this C loop here. Then after writing all the characters from buffer to output device, I execute next statement, that is LDA EOF. What is LDA EOF? Here LD moves the data from memory to register. Okay, memory is EOF here. So in EOF, whatever the data is there, that data will be loaded into the register A. Okay, remember, now the content of A is the value which was stored in the EOF variable. EOF variable is defined here, EOF, okay, which is indicating end of file. And for this variable, only 1 byte of memory we will reserve, but since this byte is generating a character constant of 3 characters, not 1 character. So because of these 3 characters, byte will reserve 3 bytes for the variable EOF. And in those 3 bytes, what all the characters will be filled there? E, O, and F. 3 characters will be filled there or stored there. So here now, right now, the value of EOF is what here? That is a character EOF. Clear? Because, sir, why you have taken accumulator register A here to store this character constant? Because here E is going to take 1 byte, O is also going to take 1 byte, F will also take 1 byte, and the length of my accumulator register A is also 24 bit. 24 bit is nothing but 3 bytes. So it can occupy here. So I have taken A here to do some arithmetic operations. Clear? And that content of register A, I am going to store it into buffer. It means that once a buffer has written everything to the output device, the buffer becomes blank or empty. At that time, explicitly programmer is going to put, or he is going to indicate my all characters, my entire paragraph I have written, I have typed, and that typed characters are already displayed on my output device. So to indicate that programmer is explicitly, clearly, he is only going to put end of file symbol to this buffer to make that buffer to understand that, oh, programmer has completed his input data. Okay, so end of file will be stored in, end of file will be stored in this buffer. Okay. The next LDA. LDA, it means what it is? From memory to register. Okay. In memory, what is there? 3 is there. So you go and observe 3 variable. For this 3 variable or operand or label, one word of memory is reserved. In that one word of memory, one value is stored, that is a 3. Okay. So why this 3? Because here I have written here, because instruction size in SIC is 24 bit. Okay. Instruction size in every instruction in SIC is 24 bit. That is 24 bit is nothing but 3 bytes. Correct. So because of that only I have written here LDA 3. It means in the content of register A is now value 3. That content of register A I am going to store into the variable 3 now, right now. Okay. Then what I am going to do is, why sir 3? Because the end of file is also going to take 3 bytes. Because of that only I am going to load this or store this 3 into this register A to length. Okay. Now jump to subroutine. Jump to subroutine and which subroutine? Write record. In write record again you will come here and once again you will execute 3 iterations here and you will load EOF one by one. In first iteration you will write E, in second iteration you will write O, in third iteration you will write F. So you will write explicitly EOF to your output device. Then output device will also understand that now input device stopped sending input to me. Okay. Now what does in the next step? In next step again you will come back here because of this R sub instruction, and now after R sub instruction your control comes to this statement LDL. What you are going to store here? LDL load return address in linkage register. Okay, load the linkage register. It means that here in this JSub instruction, whatever it is there, this JSub instruction may be in any address, that address will be loaded here. Okay, because next what I am going to do is I am going to execute one more R sub here. Because sir, why we are going to execute R sub once again here also? Because already I have executed one R sub in this read record and one R sub in this write record. Why we are executing here means the entire program whatever I am executing now, even though this read record is called by this copy subroutine and write record is also called by this copy subroutine, this copy subroutine itself is also called by somebody else. Are you understanding? The entire program is called by somebody, and that somebody is nothing but operating system, OS. Your OS has called this main function. This main function has called a read record function, and again this main function has also called write record subroutine or subroutine function. Okay, so this main function is also called by somebody. That somebody is nothing but OS. OS has called this copy subroutine. Now I go back to my OS now. Because of that only I have written here R sub return from subroutine. Clear? So here before going to jump to your OS, I store that linkage return address in this linkage register L. It means I jumped from this statement, jump subroutine write record. To indicate that one, I store that return address in linkage register. Clear? Because this JSub read record may be also present in my main function, but I am not jumping from here to OS. I am not jumping from here to my OS. I am jumping from here to my OS actually. So because of that only, it is always better to store that return address in a linkage register L. So I have stored it and then I jumped to my OS operating system. Clear? This is the logic of your program. The only thing is, first you should decide what all the variables I want to use in my program. This part you should do first actually. Okay, so EOF I want and byte I want, and 3 bytes will be reserved, and in those 3 bytes EOF will be stored. and three variable I want. Instead of three, you can take any value here, any name here, no problem. Word, one word will be reserved. In that one word, I store three. Why, sir, you are storing three here? To execute the loop, for executing the loop, I want three iterations because of these three characters E, O, F. So I have written one separate variable for that looping purpose, that is 3. Then I have taken one variable 0 to initialize my index variable or index register X to 0, and for that one again I have used assembler directive word, which reserves only one word, and in that one word I have stored the value 0. And return address also I have used here, and for that one I have reserved one word of memory. And length, for length I have reserved one word of memory. And for buffer I have reserved 4096 bytes. Okay, similarly in read record subroutine I have defined two things here. I have defined input device. For input device, I have used assembler directive byte, and that name of that input device is F1, and F1 is called as hexadecimal code for the input device. Remember, hexadecimal code for the input device is a F1. Hexadecimal code for the input device is F1. F1 is enclosed inside the single quotes, which is prefixed with capital X, so it is hexadecimal code. If it is capital C, then we should call it as a character constant, like this. This is character constant and this is hexadecimal constant. Then for max length, I reserve one word of memory. In that one word, I store 4096. For looping purpose, I wanted one more variable like n in my C program for loop. Similarly, here I am using max length because size of my buffer was 4096. So for upper limit n, I have used this max length for performing looping. Okay. In the write record also, I have used two operands, two definitions here. One is output device. Output device is 05, which is a hexadecimal code for output device. Remember, hexadecimal code for input device is F1, hexadecimal code for output device is 05. Then at last, as I already told you, end assembler directive. End assembler directive, optionally, it is written here along with the first. What is first? The first executable instruction is STL. Instead of writing directly STL, I have written its label here. This is indicating, first is indicating it is a first executable instruction in my program. So that first only I have written here. It means that it is the end of my source program. Clear? Okay. Okay. See, let us go to next. Here, a simple SIC assembler. Now exactly how assembler will translate this program into object program or machine level program or low level program, we will see now. Okay. So below figure, once again, that same program I am going to show you. Same program is shown in the below figure with the generated object code. Object code we are going to generate now. This is very, very important. For each and every instruction, for each and every line in your program, you should generate the object code. Okay. The column headed location gives the machine address in hexadecimal for each part of the assembled program. In that program, there is one column is there, LOC. You can go and open your textbook for page number 49, I think. In page number 49, you get the program. Okay, same program, but with some additional columns there. One column is there LOC. This LOC is indicating the address of instructions line by line. So it is called as a location actually, and those all addresses are in hexadecimal. Okay, and we have assumed that a program is starting at the address 1000. Already I shown you in previous program 1000. I assume that my program starts from the address 1000. It means my first executable instruction itself is loaded into the address 1000. Now, because of lack of space in this page, we have eliminated comment lines here, because already we have understood the logic of program there. In this diagram we have eliminated the comment lines here. No problem, comment lines is not required now, because already we have understood the logic of program. Clear? Now let us start the program. The source statement, once again, it contains three columns: label column, opcode column, operand column. First and third columns are called as symbols. Remember, they are also called as symbols in general. Particularly which symbol? The first column is called as label symbol. The third column is called as operand symbol. But this one is called as mnemonic instruction or mnemonic opcode. That is operation code, mnemonic operation code. Okay. Then the line number column is there. So line number column is very helpful for me to teach you. And the location column is a part of your program. This location column is a part of your program. Now onwards your program contains four columns. Remember, even though you remove this line number, it is okay, but you cannot remove this location. Okay, location column is also playing very important role, because it is also part of your logic of your program. Earlier your program was only three columns, now your program is four columns. Clear? Now for each and every instruction, for each and every line, we will generate the object code here like this. How to generate object code, I will tell you. Just wait here. The first thing what you should do is, first we should assign the address. You know, in today's class I told you the basic functions of assembler. First it should translate the mnemonic operation codes to machine equivalent. It means that for each and every instruction you should open appendix A and you should find out the opcode of it. Okay, we could do it in second step also. First step what I do, the second point I told you there, assigning the addresses to machine symbols or operands. That task I do first here. Okay, first I fill this location column, then I fill this object code. First I should write this location column one by one. How to write this location column? Let us see here. Start, what it is going to indicate? Start assembler directive is indicating what is the name of my program and what is the starting address of my program. Starting address of my program is 1000, so 1000 I have written here. Okay, and in fact my first executable statement of my program is STL, not start or copy or something. The first executable statement or instruction of my program is STL. So STL is stored in the instruction in the address 1000. STL is stored in the address 1000. Okay, and the length of this STL instruction is 24-bit, because if you want, you open your class notes there. When I was explaining SIC machine instruction formats, there is only one instruction format is there for SIC, and the length of that instruction is 24 bits. The first 8 bits are for opcode, next 1 bit for X, and last 15 bits for address. Do you remember it? So every instruction in SIC machine is of length 24 bits. 24 bits is nothing but 3 bytes. 3 bytes is nothing but one word. Remember it. The length of this STL is 3 bytes. So I add 3 to this 1000. So 1000 plus 3, it becomes 1003. Next instruction, JSUB is loaded into this 1003. And what is the length of JSUB? It is also 3 bytes. So I do plus 3, then I get 1006. Okay, and LDA will be loaded or stored into this address 1006 now. And what is the length of LDA? It is also 23 bits, 24 bits. That is nothing but 3 bytes. So again, it takes 3 bytes. Again, I add 3 to this 1006, then I get 1009. Then in 1009th address, you load or store COMP instruction. And again, COMP takes 3 bytes. So again, you add 3 to this 1009 and it becomes 100C, because I am writing these addresses in hexadecimal. Instead of 10, I have used A, B, C here like this. Instead of 12, I have written 100C, which is a hexadecimal code. These all addresses will be always in hexadecimal, remember. Okay, in fact maximum numbers wherever you are looking here, binary numbers 1 0 0 and all those things, in fact this object code everything is in hexadecimal. Okay, remember. Then after that, JEQ, it is also 3 bytes. So plus 3, you will get 100F. Next 100 or 1012. Next plus 3, 1015. So each and every instruction is 3 byte length. So I am going to keep on adding 333 here. I hope you understand. Okay, then it becomes 1015, 101D, 101B, 101E, 1021, 1024, 27, 2A, 2D, 30. Now, 1 second. Here, R sub is also 3 bytes. So 27 plus 3, then we got 2A. And in 2A, which instruction is there? Here EOF is there. You are going to load EOF. How many characters are here? 3 characters. EOF. 3 characters is equal to 3 bytes. So once again I add 3 here. So then I get 2D. And here one word is there. You are reserving how much? One word. Actually here you were reserving 1 byte, but actually because of these 3 characters you are reserving 3 bytes. So 2A plus 3, 2D. And here explicitly, clearly I have written word. Word means what? 3 bytes. So you again add 3 to this one and you get 30. And again word, that is 3 bytes, that is 3. And here word you are reserving. How many words you are reserving? One word is equal to 3 bytes. Suppose if you have written 2 here, then you should add plus 6 here, because one word is equal to 3, 2 words is equal to 6. So but here 1 is there, so just I add 3 once again, then it becomes 1036. And here once again it is one word only, so again plus 3 I do and I get 1039. Okay, then directly I get 2039 here, 2039. How much gap is there? Almost 1000 gap is there. 2039 here, it is 1039. Sir, suddenly how it increased 1000 here? See here I am reserving byte. How many bytes I am reserving? 4096 bytes I am reserving. 4096 is an integer value or a decimal value. If you convert this 4096 into hexadecimal, you have to divide that 4096 by 16. Okay, with pencil I have written here. If it is not visible to you, you practice in your home in your rough page. You divide that 4096 by 16. Okay, once you divide this 4096 by 16, you will get its equivalent hexadecimal value as 1000. That is 1000. 1000 is a hexadecimal equivalent of 4096. Are you getting how I got 1000? I just converted 4096 decimal value into hexadecimal value. The equivalent hexadecimal value for 4096 is 1000. So that many number of bytes I am reserving for buffer. So 1039 plus 1000 I get 2039. Then again keep on continuing your based on the length of these instructions. Plus 3, then it becomes 3C, 3F, 42, 45, 48, 4B, 4E, and 51, 54, 57, and 5A, and here also it is 5A, 5D it is. Okay, why D it is? Because R sub instruction is taking 3 bytes. So after 5A, if you add 3, it becomes 5D. Then after 5D, it is only 5E. It means only one increment is there. Why, sir, only one increment? Because byte is here. Byte is reserving only 1 byte. Because only one character is there. That is hexadecimal character. Constant it is, okay? F1. Don't think that there are 2 characters are there. F and 1. See, these both together will be considered as 1 byte. Okay? So only 1 byte is reserved here. So it is just 5D plus 1. It is 5E. Then word means how much? 3 bytes. So plus 3, I get 61 plus 3 64 67 6a 6d 70 73 76 79. After 79, if you want to add this one byte also, you can add it, and in last line you can write it here as a 207a, which is a hexadecimal code. Why, sir, only one byte you added here? Because only one byte I am reserving here for a hexadecimal constant. Clear how I have written this location column? Okay. Now I am going to tell you very important point, that is how to generate this object code. So in your rough page, you draw and keep that diagram blank. What you have to draw? You have to draw instruction format of SIC. Okay. First 8 bits for opcode, next 1 bit for flag bit X, then last 15 bits for address. So just one I show you here, and remaining everything you practice today, and till evening you send me screenshots of your homework. Okay. You should generate these all object codes. How, sir, these object codes are generated? One I tell you now, don't worry. As I told you, here with pencil I have drawn instruction format of SIC. First 8 bits opcode. Okay. Don't worry. You go to STL and you should find out the opcode in appendix A. You will get 2 characters. It may be 1 4 or something. You write it here below that box. Okay. 1 and 4 something here. Then you should fill this small letter X also. X is indicating direct addressing or indexed addressing. So here there is no any modifier comma X after my operand return address. So it is not indexing address. Okay. Indexed addressing mode. It is a direct addressed mode. So directly that small letter X value will be 0. Then last 15 bits of address is there. Sir, how you got address of 15 bits here? Nothing is there. You should just find out the address of this operand return address. You should search this return address in a label column. In a label column, and you will find that return address label in this line, and you should see this location column, and address of return address is 1300. That 1300 you should write here, and you should start converting that 1003 into hexadecimal from right side onwards. So first you convert that 3 into hexadecimal or binary in that box, then you convert a 0, then you convert a 0. So I think 12 bits are filled now, and remaining 3 you can take that 1, this one I am telling, this one you convert it into binary, and you can take only rightmost 3 bits. You just leave that leftmost 1 bit, then you filled all 15 bits of address field. Clear? Like this you should get the address. So once you write the 1 and 4 and flag bit 1 and this 1033 everything, then you will get the this one, what is that, mm, object code. And here in last address field there are 15 bits are there, and actually you should make a group of 4 bits in that format. Correct? First already 8 bits are there, so 2 groups will be created here, and in address field you can make only, 3 groups of 4 bits here. Then what about the 4th group here? Only 3 bits are there. No, sir. Then you can take the help of X bit also here, middle one, so that you can make a 4 bits group. Is it clear? You should make 4 bits group, and you should get totally how many digits here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 digits you should get in your object code. Okay, this is the object code for first instruction STL. For JSub, once again you draw the diagram and you keep on writing the opcode below that diagram, then you convert them into zeros and ones by filling that box. Okay, so JSub you find out in your appendix A, and opcode will be something like 48, I think 48. You convert that 4 into binaries and write the zeros and ones in that field, and you convert 8 also, and you write that zeros and ones in that box. And read record, you find out the read record in label, and read record is defined here, and it is stored or defined in the address 2039. So 2039 you can directly write here. Is it clear? So 2039 you will write here. You just start converting this 9, 3 and 0. 12 bits are filled now, and remaining 3 bits you can write it by taking rightmost 3 bits of the 2. Okay, then you can make the x, you can take the x bit also, and you make that group of 4 bits, and again it will become 2 only. Okay, then LDA opcode you should find out, it is 00, and next length of address of length you should find here. Address of length is 1036 1036, you should write here below, and you should keep on converting 6 3 0 and 1, and in when you convert 1 you should write only rightmost 3 bits. Okay, because only 15 bits are available in address field. Then to make 4 groups, 4 bits of groups, are what I should do, you take the help of a flag bit there, then it will become 4 bits. Okay, then you can write its equivalent decimal value there below that. Clear? So it is always safe if x is 0, but when suddenly x becomes 1, then it is problem. For example, here STCH in line number 160, STCH opcode you will write it as a 54, but buffer address you should search here. Buffer address is 1039. Instead of 1039 you can observe here it is 9039. Why it is 9039? Because since there is a modifier comma x, it means this instruction is using indexed addressing mode. So small letter x flag bit will become 1 there. So because of that 1 only, this is not 1039, it is a 9039. Okay, next, everything is very easy here. Next, I wanted to tell you about R sub. R sub instruction is also going to take 3 bytes. In that first R sub opcode you will find out, and you will write it as a 4C. Since there is no any operand here, you just keep them as a 0000 here. Okay, in SIC all instructions are 3 bytes length or 24 bits length. So all 24 bits only I should write here. But the same R sub instruction is only 1 byte length in SIC XC. Do you remember when I was explaining format number 1, 2, 3, 4 for SIC XC? Format number 1 example I had given R sub instruction only, which are not referring any memory as well as any register. Okay, they are just opcode R sub, which takes 8 bits of opcode. Format number 1 of SIC XC, if you remember, you understand. But here within 5 minutes this meeting ends, and in the next class I continue. Okay, you do homework today, and till evening you send me the object codes by drawing these all diagrams one by one in your notebook. That work I want to see today. And here I want to tell you how this EOF is converted. EOF are character constants, and E you will get its equivalent hexadecimal code into your appendix B. Remember what I am telling. You will not get EOF. Okay, you will not get address of EOF in this label or column also. Then how to convert it? You just don't worry about these all any instructions here. Just convert EOF into hexadecimal constant or hexadecimal code. E equivalent hexadecimal code is 45. O hexadecimal equivalent value is 4F. F hexadecimal equivalent value is 46. You will get these alphabetical all alphabets, characters, hexadecimal, equivalent hexadecimal values in appendix B. Clear? For all remaining instructions, you will get the address, but for the such kind of character constant and hexadecimal constants, you search it in your appendix B. E's equivalent hexadecimal code is 45. O hexadecimal character hexadecimal code equivalent code is 4F. F hexadecimal equivalent code is 46. You will get it in appendix B. Okay, appendix A and appendix B, you use it completely. Then remaining here, no need to write the object code, since these all memory is used by the assembler for some other reason I tell you. Then directly one more difficulty what you can face is this one, X F1. Here no need to convert it directly, already F1 is a hexadecimal code for an input device, so directly you write that hexadecimal code here, no problem. Clear? Similarly, hexadecimal code of output device is also 05. Directly you can write it. That's all. The remaining thing, I think you understood how to generate these object codes. Today by evening, all of you should send me the homework by taking your n number of pages photos and converting it into PDF. Okay, or else image also, it's okay for me. You send it by generating these all object codes. Okay, have a nice day, have a nice weekend. Let us meet in next class. You can leave the meeting.